In a peaceful village, there lived a boy named Raga. He was intelligent, hardworking, and harbored big dreams. But he had one significant problem. His mind was never stable. He constantly found himself lost in unnecessary thoughts. Whether he was studying, working, or even engaged in conversation, his mind would inevitably drift into useless fantasies, overthinking, and daydreaming. Despite his parents' and teachers' repeated reminders to stay focused, he simply couldn't control his wandering thoughts. He would begin studying but quickly find himself absorbed in imaginary stories, dwelling on past mistakes, or worrying aimlessly about the future. One day, during his school exams, Raga encountered the worst moment of his life. Sitting with his answer sheet, his mind went completely blank. Although he had thoroughly studied, he couldn't concentrate. He spent more time thinking about unrelated matters than actually answering the exam questions. When the results were finally announced, he had failed in 2 subjects. His teachers were disappointed, his friends felt bad for him, and his parents were deeply worried. That night, Raga sat alone in his room, feeling utterly helpless. He knew he possessed the potential to succeed, yet his thoughts seemed to control him, rather than him controlling them. Observing his distress, his grandfather, an elderly and wise man, approached him quietly and asked, "What's troubling you, Raga?" With tears in his eyes, Raga confessed, "Grandpa, no matter how hard I try, my mind keeps racing in different directions. I genuinely want to focus, but wasteful thoughts always distract me." His grandfather smiled reassuringly and replied, "Come with me, I have something important to show you." Leading Raga to the backyard, he pointed to a large, empty pot, handing him a cup filled with dirty water. He instructed, "Pour this water into the pot." Raga did exactly as he was told. Then, his grandfather gave him a jug of clean water, saying, "Now, keep pouring this clean water into the pot until all the dirt is gone." Raga continued pouring the clean water, gradually displacing the dirty water until the pot was filled with fresh, clear water. His grandfather explained, "Your mind is just like this pot. If you constantly fill it with wasteful thoughts, it becomes polluted. However, by pouring in good, meaningful thoughts, the wasteful ones will gradually be washed away." Thoughtfully, Raga asked, "But Grandpa, how can I replace my wasteful thoughts with beneficial ones?" His grandfather smiled gently. "Let me share a story that might help you understand better. Long ago, in a kingdom, there was a young warrior named Vaya. Although strong and talented, Vaya had a significant flaw. He doubted himself excessively. Before each battle, he was consumed with thoughts like, "What if I lose? What if my opponent is stronger? What if people mock me?" Due to these doubts, he hesitated frequently, lost minor battles, avoided challenges, and steadily lost confidence. One day, an old monk noticed Vaya sitting alone, deeply troubled. The monk approached him and asked, "What's troubling you, young warrior?" Vaya replied, "My own thoughts are my enemies. They weaken me before any battle begins." The monk then handed Vaya a cup half filled with water and instructed him to add a handful of salt, telling him to drink it afterward. Vaya followed the monk's instructions but immediately spat the water out, finding it unbearably salty. The monk then led him to a lake, asked him to throw the same amount of salt into it, and told him to taste the water. This time, the water tasted fresh. The monk explained, the amount of salt was unchanged. The difference lay in the size of the container. If your mind remains small, even a little negativity can ruin it. But if you make your mind expansive, like a vast lake, no negativity will affect you. Vaya grasped this lesson deeply. He stopped entertaining doubts and instead filled his mind with courage and determination. Through dedicated practice, he eventually became one of the kingdom's greatest warriors. Listening attentively to this story, Raga realized his mistake clearly. He recognized that keeping his mind limited allowed wasteful thoughts to dominate easily. By filling his mind with focus, discipline, and positivity, unnecessary thoughts would naturally fade away. His grandfather nodded approvingly. "Exactly. Your mind is a powerful tool. Without control, it will control you. But if you train it intentionally with positive thoughts, it becomes your greatest asset." Determined, Raga resolved never to allow wasteful thoughts to control him again. He began adhering to a disciplined routine, practicing mindfulness and meditation regularly to maintain calmness and clarity. He consciously avoided distractions, eliminated unnecessary overthinking, and engaged himself consistently with productive and inspiring tasks. Whenever a wasteful thought appeared, he replaced it immediately with something beneficial and uplifting. Gradually, his concentration improved, his academic performance soared, and his self-confidence grew exponentially. In subsequent exams, Raga achieved the highest grades in his class. Years later, Raga became an accomplished scientist, admired widely for inspiring others to master their minds. Whenever asked how he overcame his previous struggles with wandering thoughts, Raga would simply smile and reply, "Your mind is like a pot, fill it with good, constructive thoughts, and there won't be any room left for wasteful ones. Your mind, like water, assumes the shape of whatever you pour into it. If allowed, wasteful thoughts will dominate, but filled deliberately with focus, positivity, and discipline, success naturally follows.